Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
A very good afternoon and welcome to the Canon RS Deserum Shield Rugby encounter between St. Thomas's and Trinity. The game that is played Nunc Pro Tunc. To explain that Latin term, it means now for then, and this is a 2021 teams that are turning out today. It's going to be for the Canon RS Deserum Trophy, but not really a tournament game because the tournaments, as you know, were decimated by COVID. And we are live at Havelock Park. St. Thomas's hosting Trinity, and it's St. Thomas's and Trinity in the commentary box as well as we look out on the weather forecast. 31 Celsius and 16 kilometers per hour wind. Hopefully the cloud cover will help with this baking sun that's coming down on Havelock Park. And joining me, Sudarshana Piris in the commentary box. It's going to be a hell of a battle out there, Sudarshana.
Well, surely, Chanaka, from the glimpse that we've seen from these two teams, especially at the Dialogues Schools Rugby Sevens as well, it's going to be a very, very interesting battle. I'll let you take the viewers through these nostalgic clips.
Well, for everyone who's watching from here in Sri Lanka and overseas, these clips, of course, of the M Block at St. Thomas's with that great big flag draped over the top of the M Block. I'm sure a lot of memories will be springing up in the breasts of the Thomians watching overseas. It's a library block, of course, with the blue, black and blue. And looking out over the quadrangle, which many people have measured. And here's the ground that is doing battle today at Havelock Park. Not really the home ground of either of these teams. We're not playing either at Pallekele or at St. Thomas's. But I'll let you take this one, Sudarshan.
Yes, images of the best school of all, as we like to call it. The junior school, the swimming pool, and of course the entrance of Trinity College. A lot of projects have been done, especially the one we currently see, the Solar project, and of course the iconic chapel at Trinity College, the crown jewel of the school where the river, lake and mountain meet. It's 150 years since its inception. Shanak, a lot of celebrations happening at Trinity College this year, and this game, I'm sure, is going to be part of a lot of those celebrations.
Well, we'll be happy to be parts of those celebrations. Sudarshan at St. Thomas's, always a very well respected opponent, and of course a fellow Anglican school. As we go into the highlights of some of the matches that were played last year, it was the only real rugby that we got in 2021. St. Thomas's did extremely well, of course, in the sevens, which is unusual for them. Owen Hettiarachchi going over for that try, and he'll be a man that is very much on display today, and an interesting prospect for Sri Lanka as well if he keeps playing.
Oh, absolutely. I think Owen Hettiarachchi did turn a lot of heads with his stature, and also Thomians all around were very good. He likes to be at places where he can go touchdown. It was impressive against their arch rivals for Royal College in the semi-final, which they won very comfortably, but slowly stumbling in that final against the Pete Wrights, who were slightly more experienced opponents when it comes to knockout finals rugby.
Knockout finals rugby and sevens rugby. St. Thomas's have never really been sevens exponents, so I was really pleasantly surprised to see them playing as well as they did. And just a yellow card coming in for Hettiarachchi in that final, which really was a match-turning moment. But in the end, I thought the quality of rugby that St. Thomas's played, the decision-making, was outstanding, and I'm hoping to see a bit more of that on the 15s field as well. And this is that final that we were talking about, St. Peter's. Sorry, this is still the semi-final. And it's the only Royal Thomaian rugby that was played last year, of course. But
Past 2
still,
years actually, Shanika, because in 2020 as well, Trinity and St. Thomas's were quite lucky that they managed to play the Canon RSD Serum Shield just before the country shut down. But here we are.
well, I think you say lucky, Sudarshan, from the Trinity camp, because it was your 4th win in a row. But we would have been quite happy to not not play that one and have another loss. And looking out as the teams make their preparations. Was at the Trinity College Chapel a few months ago, Sudarshana, and lovely to see that the David Painter murals are being retouched up, and it's looking absolutely gorgeous. And it's just such a spiritual place to be able to sit. And here's a bunch of people at another spiritual place. Rugby grounds also have the same kind of appeal to us all. As the school songs will now be played at Havelock Park.
The highlights of the Trinity versus Dharmaraja game. Trinitians were quite lucky that they initiated something called the Trinity Tour, where they played 2 games against Sumangal College and then took on Dharmaraja College next. And Trinity did show a glimpse of a brilliant team, a very well-oiled unit. Shanika, you were there at Dialogue Schools Rugby Sevens as well. Trinity looked like they were a very well-oiled machine, and they showed it here in the 15-a-side games as well.
Certainly they looked very, very good, and again some very good decision making by all of them. And Trinity making sure that they underline their superiority in Kandy. I was very impressed by Sumangala as well, who came through and played some good rugby, but ultimately Trinity looked like they knew that they were doing their set pieces, as we saw there, functioning really well, and that's going to be a key battle today as well.
Absolutely. I think especially with the forwards, the skipper of the St. Thomas's outfit, Lashendra De Silva, is has a very good head on his shoulders, so he's going to be key for St. Thomas's chances. But the Trinity centre combination is going to go against a very good centre combination in Owen Hettiarachchi and Vian De Silva of the Thomaians. So that is going to be very, very interesting as well, Shanika.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting midfield battle, because Vian Pereira playing on the wing for a lot of the time. He started off at scrum half. He was one of the youngest players in that first 15 lineup earlier on. But whether he's settled into that number 13 position, we'll be able to see today. Of course, it's nice to play outside a guy like Owen Hettiarachchi, because he's got so much of the ability to draw defenders to him. But Tevin Karunanayak, a very, very experienced player, and Litmal Morogoda as well, looking for a bit of pace from him. So that's probably where the game is going to be decided in a big way.
Trinity minus one of their star men, Harsha Samarasinghe. He's not in the mix, but I've just received a message from Harsha wishing the team very well from Dubai. He's taking part in the Old Boys tournament in Dubai. He's moved on from college, from what we hear. But these two teams are going to be setting up a real battle here. And Shanika, looking about, when I was looking through the rivalries of Trinity College and St. Thomas's College, the real rivalry, the oldest rivalry between the two institutions has been the first inter-school debate, which was held in 1912, more than a century ago. So it's something that runs through these colleges, both of them CMS colleges, and they share a great brethren in between them.
Oh, absolutely, Sudarshan. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of a few of those debating competitions, traveling up for what we call the Trinity Weekend, where we travel up and the choir travels up and the debating team travels up as well. It really is a wonderful weekend to be hosted in you guys' boarding and to eat that beef curry and pulsam ball. It's just one of those things you look forward to, one of the schooling events annual events that we really look forward to. And as the teams are warming up here at Havelock Park and singing their school songs, I have to mention also the chief guest, Jeevan Gunatilaka, good friend of both of ours, and St. Thomas's captain in 2001, and won the league in the year before under the captaincy of Gavin Jayasekara. Came very close in his year as well. Came up against a star-studded Royal side in that year, but Jeevan is the captain, and it'll be a really interesting story. but we'll talk about that later. St. Thomas's College from Navish Kayapa, Janitha Tilakaratna, Manit Ratwata, Shanil Samarakodi, Dunal Fernando, Shanal Fernando, Sharia Kurukula Surya, Lashandra De Silva, the captain, Sakit Pereira, the experience in at number 9, Yahan Bulat Singhala, Jaden Koch, Ovin Hetera, Chivian De Silva, Akira Pereira, and another experienced man in Avinda Rakava coming up at fullback.
For the Tomians, it's going to be very, very crucial. The number 8 and the number 9 combination, skipper and the deputy combining in their how they make their decisions to use their players. And for Trinity, Kavish Amarasekara, Durala Alavattegama, Kavish Edama, Rishan Pananwala played for Kandy couple of weeks ago. Bhavant Dharmapal played for Kandy couple of weeks ago. Asiri Kodituwa, Kukavin Vijaysena, Tidas Tantrige in that number 8 jersey, and Tehan Karnanayaka, the skipper, who are in the number 9 jersey. Tumidu Durangwat, keep an eye out on him for that sneaky kicks to the wingers. Abdul Rahim Khalil gets the nod in number 11 jersey. Tevin Karnanayaka, Litmal Murugoda, Minidu Jayasundar and Ravindu Vikramasinghe making up the Trinity playing 15. It's going to be a very, very interesting affair for Trinity, especially with the likes of Tevin Karnanayaka and Litmal Murugoda making up that centre half. Like you said, Shanika, Litmal Murugoda can give you a lot of pace, and Tevin Karnanayaka likes to go through men.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting battle for sure. I think both teams will be relying heavily on their number 12s, Ovin Hettiarachchi for St. Thomas's and Karnanayaka for Trinity College. And St. Thomas's with their war dance. This was maybe discouraged a few weeks ago or a few years ago, but St. Thomas's is something that they won't leave behind. So nice to see that war dance as well. And we're ready for action. The referee is coming onto the pitch as well. It'll be Isuru Pereira, Gihan Yatavara and Pradeep Indika who will be assisting him. Isuru Pereira will be our match official. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game, and it's really nice to have this atmosphere coming back to this as well, Sudarshan. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here back on the papare.com.
Oh, absolutely, Shanika. Schools Rugby Canon RS Decirum Trophy. Crowds are back and the Papare music is keeping us alive. Brilliant opportunity for these youngsters as well. I think credit should go to both the institutions for putting this up as well, because some of them will not play a rugby game as important as this ever in their entire life.
Yes, absolutely. It really is a wonderful opportunity for these boys who had 2 years of the peak of their teenage adolescence kind of robbed from them almost by COVID. And it's great to see that both Trinity and St. Thomas's have combined to give them maybe a little bit of a taste of it back and give the crowds also something to cheer about. Give it a culmination to all the hard work that these boys have put in through the years. But into that 16 kilometers per hour wind is what Bulat Singhala starts off the game. And again, it not being home conditions, so he doesn't realize where the wind is coming from, and the ball doesn't go 10 meters. So Trinity College have very sensibly taken the scrum on centre field.
Not the ideal start for the Tomians, like Shanika, like you mentioned, Shanika. I think it's not very friendly conditions for the Tomians as well, because they are normally used to the wind coming from one end towards the sea at Mount Lavinia. Trinitians will be very, very thankful of the cloud cover currently at the grounds.
Bye.
Watching for Tidas Tantrige off the back of this. He'll have a word with his captain, of course, Tehan Karnanayaka, and see what he gets permission to do. And yes, it is Tantrige. Good tackle made on him by Shanal Fernando, in fact, in the number 6 jersey. And Trinity go to the air early on. Falls into space, and it's a good chase. Vian De Silva, unfortunately the ball doesn't reach his hand, but Avinda Rakava makes an important tackle. Here it is again for Karunanayaka, the Trinitian captain. Good bust up the middle from Bhavanta Dharmapala, who is a club player now, and not just a club player, a champion club player.
First loss forward by the Tomians, so referee brings play back. Good start for Trinity, straight away getting into the opposition half, in just a couple of meters away from the 22-meter line. What Trinity is going to be very mindful of is the fact that the Tomians are not shy of counter-attacking Shanika, so they need to make sure that they keep hold of the possession. That's where the first offense was committed.
Yes, it was a good kick by Donangwata, wasn't it? Found the space, and unfortunately for the Tomians, they let the ball bounce, and that's never a good idea.
Karnanayaka being a very good scrum half and getting inside the referees here.
Yes, Tantrige going off the back again. Makes some meters, but only to the left, as here's the ball available for Hettiarachchi. Now coming in off his wing was Jaden Koch, but giving away a penalty for holding on to the ball. So it was a good counter-attack from St. Thomas's, but they went away from their support play. Fortunately for Trinity, they managed to get around and outnumber St. Thomas's at the breakdown, and now have a superb attacking opportunity.
Very good attacking opportunity for Trinity. It's going to be important that they try and score from here, because that will really put the fear in the Thomians, because Trinity have dominated position so far in this game. Early exchanges, but it's important that they go on to score from here on. Alawathegama to draw.
Oh, it's a free kick. Let's see what referee Gyan Pereira says. It was a double pump by Alawathegama. And we really need to compliment Ravindu Wickramasinghe also for that excellent turnover. Not often we see fullbacks being strong over the ball, but it was Ravindu Wickramasinghe who won that turnover of Jaden Koch, who was isolated. And that ball stays in field, so Bulat Sinhala hasn't found the mark with two of his kicks. Here's Ravindu, dragged to the ground by the Thomian skipper, making his first tackle of the piece. Karunanayaka looks right, looks left, and goes right. He's a big man in centre field. That's Vinindu Jayasundara. A little bit of space now. Good bump off by Alawathegama, hanging around on the tram lines as hookers do nowadays. Dodang Watha with the little chip kick, but that time there's better positioning from St. Thomas's. Vian De Silva goes back. There's Akira Pereira who dropped that ball, but Vian does well to tidy it up, and Sakit Pereira will look for the box kick, but it's well charged down. In fact, not well enough, as the referee says there was a high tackle.
Yes, there was a swinging arm from the Trinity defender who was striking that ball. So luckily for the Thomians, they will have a chance to get out of jail, get out of their red zone.
So again, it's still that kick from Dodang Watha into the Thomian half that they're reaping the benefits of, and Bulat Sinhala will need to atone for both those errors now, from the kick-off as well as that penalty not finding touch. They really need to find touch this time. And that's a safer kick.
Young Bulat Sinhala, just 16 years of age, Shanaka, playing in that pivotal number 10 jersey, so he has a lot of years to try and improve and groom himself. That was what Trinity was penalized for, a swinging arm these days. Anything above your nipple line is going to get penalized, so the players need to be very careful when they go into contact.
Dunal Fernando winning that ball at the front of the line out, as he's expected to do with his height and his expertise. Thomian colorsman in basketball as well. But again, 3 penalties now that the referee has awarded. So Trinity will need to be a little bit more disciplined. They're playing in the right half of the field. They don't need to do anything silly.
Yes, the Thomians this time around, Bulat Sinhala with another opportunity. This time gets a little more distance behind that kick, just a couple of meters off the 50-meter mark. We haven't seen the two backs in actions. Shanaka still, it's a battle between the forwards this time around. Thomians making a hash of the line out.
Yes, that's not good work at all from the Thomian line out. With a guy like Dunal Fernando, you really should be winning each one of your balls. But Trinity for the first time playing in their own half. Picking up and going. This is Bhavantha Dharmapalu, who's wearing number 5 but playing at the back of the scrum. Karunanayaka. Dodang Watha looks for the long raking kick, looking for a 50-22, but Rakava is safe under it. And there looks like there might have been a late charge. Let's see what the referee will say. And yes, he will bring it back. It's good to see that Rakava has, despite being hammered late, come up and taken the kick. See if we can see that one again.
highly unnecessary by the Trinitians. It was well marked by Dodangwata, who was the initial kicker. He was right underneath it. And the Trinitians might lose out a player here. Karnanayaka being the very good diplomat, but Dharmapala, beg your pardon, that's Lidmal Murugoda. Generally a very sensible player, but opting to go for that slightly late charge. Now the Tomians with a brilliant opportunity. They have the numerical advantage. Penalty inside the Trinity half for the first time.
Well, he's got an interesting kicking style, doesn't he? He doesn't seem to extend his knee very much as we look at Litmal Murugoda, who's injured on his knee as well as in his head at the moment, knowing that he's conceded a yellow card unnecessarily, but it was a little harsh as well. I think a yellow card, especially when it's not a tournament game, thought the referee it wasn't malicious. Here it is. Rakava thinks about running and then he was just following through, and yes, he should have pulled out, but it wasn't malicious at all. And I thought just needed to be beautifully done that time. Not sure whether they came in from the side. In fact, they have. So that's a good call from referee Pereira.
Interesting what the Tomians will decide to do from here on. Quick tap. They quickly take it and go. Luckily for Trinity, they had receded 5 meters. Now the Tomian forwards will want to try and exploit the Trinity defense.
They've gotten over the line, but referee Pereira says they're coming back to the penalty. Not 5 meters perhaps. And they are calling for a scrum this time, which is probably what they should have done earlier as well, especially with Trinity one man down in the backs. This is where you want Hettiarachchi and Pereira to touch the ball, because they've got an extra man over on the line, and looking out across the field, you don't see Akira Pereira to really hug the touchline on that far side.
Tevin Karunanayak on the screen will have to do a little more to cover up the massive space left behind by Murugoda.
Snobsters, of course, will first have to win the scrum. Let's see what Trinity can do in defense. Well, they do a lot. Coming back and forcing the wheel away. Nicely done by Lashandra De Silva, the captain. It's very difficult to play as a number 8 when your scrum is going back, but he did well to rescue that ball. Sakit Pereira now. Manit Ratna, Janindu Tilakaratna.
Okay, roll away.
St. Thomas is heating it up at close quarters, trying to earn the right to go wide. They've got an extra man, so they really need to use this period of 10 minutes wisely. Kulukula Surya. Sakit Pereira goes the opposite way. Nice inside ball to Tilakaratna.
Alawatikamadia complaining that the player jumped up on him.
Roll away, no hand.
And he might have a case as well. Sakit Pereira now, though it's still available for St. Thomas's, sticking a few phases together. Now they've gone wide, but beautifully read by Ravindra Vikramasinghe, who has been outstanding in defense so far. Knew exactly what was going to happen, but St. Thomas's through Vian Pereira has managed to retain the ball. Navish Kayapa fighting his way to the 22-meter line. And there were hands in that ruck. And not rolling away, says the referee as well. So just a few penalties on the bounce, and I think Trinity can count themselves lucky that they already have a yellow card, because they would probably have got one by now.
Yes, the Tomians now with a brilliant opportunity right in front of the post. So they can opt to go for 3. Yes, they have opted to go for 3. But however,
here's a tackle on Yapa, and you look at the big number 3 as well. Took his time getting out of the way there. That was Minil Ratwat. But I think the offender was the previous player.
Not there. Right over here.
Bolot Singhal now lining up the kick. didn't get his confidence early in the game, missed out on a couple of clearances, but this one, if he can get this one through the post, that will do wonders to his confidence. And as a number 10, it's important that you are very confident throughout the game.
Yes, he suffered a bit with those first couple of kicks, but this will really be something that will settle him down. It's a nice strike, and it's straight through the posts. So for a 16-year-old, he's got plenty backing him physically, Sudarshana. And Johan Bulat-Singala makes up for that kick-off error by putting the first points on the board in this Canon RS Diseram Trophy Shield game. Live from Havelock Park on the papare.com and Channel 1.
Brilliant to see, isn't it? The Tomian cricketers as well joining in the party, coming in to support their schoolmates in the middle.
So despite all the attack Trinity had, they couldn't turn the pressure into points. And the yellow card seems to have changed the momentum a little bit, but it's important that they make sure that they don't concede any more points before Morogoda comes back. Karunanayaka thumps it to Lashandra De Silva. He likes to have a go. It's a powerful little man. Beautifully read again. I think it was it Wickramasinghe again? No, in fact, it's Bhavantha Dharmapala who read that one, came up furiously out of the line. And good discipline again. Ravindra Wickramasinghe kicked it forward, and his support players knew they couldn't handle the ball because they were all offside. Lovely ball across the face of the defence there. Straight into the arms of Kavin Vijaysena. Gives it back, and Dodangwatta now will put it up. It's frantic stuff here. Rakaville will go up and taken down beautifully by the arriving winger Minindu Jayasundara. And it was a knock forward that ultimately stops the play, but great rugby from both teams, Sudarshana.
Brilliant timing by the two defenders. A lot can go wrong when the receiving player goes up in the air to collect the ball. If you don't get your timing right, that's when all the trouble can happen. But lovely work from the Trinity defence in order to make sure that take a look at this. Waited till 1 foot came to the ground. And he had all the rights for that ball, but unfortunately lost it forward. So the Tomians getting another lease alive to try and get out of jail from here.
Beautifully taken by Rakava and equally beautifully cut down. One went low, one went a little higher. And that's the kind of tackle you don't want to be on the receiving end of. But that's what's good to see, good discipline from the chasing players. And another free kick, and it was Alawatta Gama who's like, I told you so, ref. That's what they've been doing all game, mates. But he's calling for another scrum.
Well, Alawatta Gama seems like he's liking the referee's job a little as well. The Tomians will be under a little bit of pressure now because remember they've given away a free kick. Now next time it will be a long arm penalty against them, and they really wouldn't want that. Tantirage will look to make use of this ball just outside the 22 meters.
It's a beautiful attacking scrum on the 15-meter line. Tantirage now goes off the back, but well tackled by Lashandra De Silva, who shadowed him all the way. And another unforced error from Trinity College. Little bit of handbags. Absolutely nothing in it. Hope the crowd doesn't get involved. That's not what we want to see.
Well, can't blame the two players as well. The youngsters have so much of energy inside them. It's an opportunity that they've gotten a little too hard a pass by Tantirage.
Really good work by Lashandra De Silva to get across and make that tackle behind, almost behind the gain line. Didn't give too much room for Tantirage to gain a lot of ground there.
start in the
Owen
match.
Hettiarachchi. Haven't seen him with the ball in hand very much, but the referee will have a chat to the captains. It's nothing serious at all. Let's get on with it.
Engage in the
Well, these things are bound to happen when these young men are given a chance, and especially for all of them, Shanika, this atmosphere, the amount of crowd that's backing them is alien to them. They are not used to it at all. This could basically be termed as a season opening game for these young men.
Well, it's a season opening game. For some of them, it's also a season ending game, Sudarshana. So it's a real tragedy that's been the last couple of years that we've missed these sports out on for these kids. Never going to get this time of their lives back. But,
Time on.
Such is life. Referee doing well to nip those things in the bud and have a chat to the two captains to make sure that things don't spill over. The Trinity College travelling fans come down all the way to make sure that they make their presence felt, drape their flag across the Havelocks A-boats. And this is the Havelocks Pavilion. I wouldn't say packed to capacity, but pretty full.
Well, it's safe to say that this is the biggest crowd that we've seen for the past couple of years, Shanika, especially after the COVID breakout.
Steady, boys, steady! Steady!
Sakit Pereira to feed. It's only about the second scrum that St. Thomas's have had, and Trinity are attacking as a unit. Bulat Singhala this time with the ball inside the 22. Not sure whether he expected to find touch or what coach Shamli Nawaz's tactic is. But a good tackle from Kurukula Surya on the advancing Minindra Jayasundara. And now it's available for an advantage. But running straight into touch is Ruvishan Pananwala.
Number 5.
But Trinity had the penalty coming their way, and it looks like Donal Fernando was the offending player on that long arm penalty. So it's just 3 points to nil. We've seen some good rugby, Sudarshana, but not the finish, and that's what will happen when teams have been away from play for so long. But a beautiful kick from Trinity brings them right into the danger zone. They'll need to make sure they win this line out. So it was Fernando there falling over the ball. Thought he got out of the way in time, but not in fast enough.
Trinity opting to go to their last spot, but luckily collected at the back.
Looked like that was a deliberate play, Sudarshana, and well executed that time as well. Karuna Nayaka taking it outside the 15-meter line so he can take it going forward, and Trinity look like they're interested in rumbling this one up to the line. Why not? They've got some big boys, especially with Morogoda yet to come back. They won't want to give it to the backs yet. Panangwala adding his might. Karunanayaka looking back and coming back to where he came from. There's a one-on-one situation here, and beautifully finished that time by Minindra Jayasundara. It was really good work from Trinity, who saw what they did. They took the ball towards the goal post, phase by phase, and then as the whole Thomian defense got sucked into it, they came back the way they came from, and it was well finished.
Well, Trinity this will do world wonders to their confidence. They're one man down, and they try to score the first try of the game. Minindra Jayasundara touching down in the corner. This is what Shanika was talking about. It was a pre-planned move where Karuna Nayaka collected it outside the 15 meters, and then came the rumbling of the forwards, sucking up all the defense onto the goalpost, and goes to the short side as Minindra Jayasundara had the confidence of taking on that player in the corner and touching down in the corner like all good wingers do. Dorang with Watta with a very good opportunity. And I'd like to highlight something that just happened. The Thomian Paparaban stops for the kicker. Respect to the kicker is what they are working at, and that's brilliant to see.
Outstanding kick from Dodangwata as well. And I have to give some props to him for the try as well, Sudarshanam. Because if you saw Karunanayaka, he looked for his fly half, and his fly half was giving him the call. Here's the kick from Dodangwata. Beautifully done. And Dodangwata was calling for the ball. He's the one who spotted the space, and he called for the ball going back to the blind side, and he's the one who gave the pass off to Jayasundara as well in that one-on-one situation. We expect the winger to finish, but Dodangwata was really a lot of credit needs to go to him for spotting and helping that try assist.
So far this game, Dodangwata has been impressive. His kicking has been good into spaces. Needs a little bit more support from the players who are chasing it.
Kicking it straight to the danger man, Dharmapala, who's held up in the tackle by the other club player on the park. Dunal Fernando playing for Air Force, Dharmapala for Kandy. Going back inside the 22, but he was carried back. Keeping it nicely in field. Lashandra De Silva leaves it behind, and it's advantage for Trinity as Alawategama takes it into the tram lines. This time Karunanayaka trying to use that cross kick, and they use it well. Bit of basketball being played by the two wingers on that side. The referee seems to be playing advantage, but he doesn't have his arm up, so in the end it looked like Khalil who's managed to come away with that ball. Karunanayaka again to Dodangwata, skip pass to the big Panangwala, who's making a nuisance of himself in the middle of the park. Lovely ball from Dodangwata again. Kavin Vijayasena takes it into the 22, and lovely hands from Karunanayaka. Nice flat ball, and Ravindra Vikramasinghe, who's been a real handful for Trinity in this match. And again, it's Samarakpodi that doesn't roll away and gives away the penalty. So Trinity very much into the ascendancy here.
Absolutely, and you got to correct the continuity of the Trinitians as well, because that is making the Thomian defense spread across the field, and they are finding those holes in the middle despite being a man down. So credit to Trinity for being able to find those holes, and they have been restored to their original number now.
So that's the two balls, the flat ball that found space. Avishka Yapa failing to hang on, and Samarakpodi makes the tackle but needs to be disciplined enough to roll away there. And just to talk about that previous line-out throw that led to the try, Sudarshana, it went over the entire line-out, and it looked like it was deliberate because Karunanayaka was running onto it. And that's designed to take the strong Thomian line-out defender, Dunal Fernando, out of the play. And that shows a level of preparation that Trinity have made, which paid off. And that's really all there is to it, isn't it? Just prepare, 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 and execute on the day.
Spot on, Chanaka, because what you do at the training field is what you're going to do at the game. You're not going to do anything special at the game that you don't do at the training field. So kudos to the young men as well, and kudos to the coaching staff who put in the plan and are executing it. Oh, my heart breaks for this young man, Manit Ratwate. Seems like he's twisted his knee a little.
That's the kick from Dodangwata, which hasn't been dealt with well, I have to say, by Akira Pereira on the couple of times that they've asked him to deal with it. And Khalil manages to get that ball off, but it looks like Ratwata's ankle or knee is not doing well at all, so poor lad will have to be substituted just a quarter of the way into this Canon RS Deserum Shield game. So it looks like we will have Jonathan Bulat Singhala, possibly the brother perhaps of the fly half, Yahan. And looking at Panangwala, who's on your screen next to the referee at the moment, we saw him having a little bop to the Papare band. Looks like he's enjoying himself. And that's great to see, isn't it, Sudarshana? There's so much pressure put on these boys, but it's nice to see them playing and enjoying themselves while they're doing it.
Absolutely, Shanak. I think that's the whole point, isn't it? You got to enjoy the game you play, and when you do enjoy the game you play, that's when you play your best rugby. And kudos to the young men enjoying the game and wanting to make sure that they put on a show for everybody who's gathered around here. 20 opting to go to their third pod.
So they held the player up, and you can't keep the player up in the line out for longer than is necessary. So that time the execution was just very slightly off, But Trinity again, you look like they knew exactly what they were doing. They've got the understanding of what to do in the red zone when they're in the attacking half. And also you saw from how they repelled Trinity earlier, holding the player up for just too long there.
Second too long, I guess. But this time around, again, not finding touch. Tomians have to really address this.
Well, this is where experience comes into the picture, Sudarshana. Because we know from all the club matches that we've covered from here that the wind comes in over the pavilion here on the Havelock side, and you've got to kick it a little extra hard, maybe a little shorter. Beautiful tackle again that time, although Rakava took it well. That time it was Karunanayaka, the other Karunanayaka, the captain's brother, who made that tackle. Again, good discipline and a nice chop tackle. Apart from that inadvertent swinging arm in the first couple of minutes, we haven't really seen anything. Ill discipline for either of the teams. So St. Thomas is opting for that long and diagonal ruck to just give a little bit of space. And Rakava has been solid in defense so far in this game, despite being tested quite sorely by the excellent Dodangwata.
Yes, Rakava, a very experienced player for the Tomians. He's been in the mix for a couple of years, using his experience to try and negate the threat of Dodangwata, like you mentioned. Dodangwata has been the standout man for Trinity so far. His decision making has been spot on. And his support runners on either side of his shoulders have done very good work as well.
Alavattegama waits for his jumper to go up, and at that time it's maybe a little bit off center, but referee says it wasn't completed, so he allows it to go ahead, which is fine. Karunanayaka now looking for the big Panangwala to fold outside of him. Panangwala goes and goes again. Again, a nice kick put through, but hanging up in the breeze. Nobody seems to want it. Eventually it falls for Vian Pereira, who gives it off to his captain. Held up, but manages to present the ball well for Sakit Pereira. Here's Bulat Sinhala with the long raking kick, looking for a 50-22 perhaps, and if he finds it from this distance, it's probably going to be the longest 50-22 in a long time. Ravin Wickramasinghe thought he could mark that, but it had bounced, and here's Khalil. Tomian skipper gets across in a traditional number 8 corner flag tackle. Edema taking the ball up. No props left to run. And here's Rakava stepping and stepping again. Shadowed by Tantrige. Lost forward that time. But the referee's playing advantage. And it's Tehan Karunanayaka with a lovely box kick, knowing that Rakava had to come up. But that ball is probably going to go all the way back to where it was kicked from.
Dodangwata is claiming that it did touch a Tomian player, so taking it up with the assistant referee. But yes, that did go all the way. But it was a brilliant kick by Karunanayaka, got the advantage onto his side.
So let's
Had
see
a
where
little
this-
too much on that kick.
Yes, again, it's that wind coming over the pavilion that takes the ball a little longer. So didn't really see anything conclusive as to whether it came off Rakava. It was Jaden Koch, who's had a bit of a torrid time there on the right wing. It's where the try was on the left wing rather. That's where the try was scored. So he'll be asking his insides to give him a little bit of help defensively. Two big boys in the Tomian midfield. Three actually, because Vian is not a small lad. But this Trinity scrum has been impressive so far. Lashandra De Silva off the back. Now they go to the backs. Rakava runs onto a nice ball, but it looked like it might have gone forward, and that's exactly what the referee says. So it's a good pass, but the Trinity defense, I have to say, Sudarshana, is reading everything like an open book.
Yes, I think the key is their communication between them. They know when to shoot out and close out the Tomians. the rush defense has been working well for Trinity, because plenty can go wrong when you employ a rush defense. Shanak, if the man doesn't commit to the attacker, there is a simple overlap that is created. So credit to the Trinity defensive line. They are doing it very well so far. And Litmal Moragod at that time doing a great work. He would have been refreshed after the 10 minutes on the naughty chair.
Yes, it was really an outstanding tackle. Made just in time, otherwise Rakava was away with the extra man.
No hands.
Rashandra over the ball, nice and strong. But Trinity have managed to secure it as Janapala takes it forward.
Get back.
Kavi Shamarasekara with the barge into the 40-meter line. And looking for space again. They're looking to turn these Thomian forwards around and make them run backwards. It's a tactic that has worked for years, Sudarshana, and no reason why it shouldn't work even in modern rugby.
Absolutely. I think the Trinidadians against the Thomians are looking to put the ball behind the line early in this game to try and make sure that they tire out the forwards, so that come the second half they can send the ball wide and try and attack the Thomian defense from the outside quarters.
And it's also good work to stay away from Dulan Fernando, the guy in the front of your screen there in the number 5 jersey, and Owen Hettiarachi, who can be these physical threats in attack and defense, and they're keeping the ball well away from these guys as that ball goes. That time the referee is not lenient, and Alavattagama's throw is caught for being not quite straight.
Well, I think that time the referee couldn't have been lenient, because that ball was almost collected by Karuna Naik on the far side. So it's a little earlier in the replay.
Well, this is interesting, really interesting, because it shows that Trinity have got under the skin of this Thomian scrum.
Close in the gap.
And again a double pump.
Close in the gap.
So the whistle is blown. So this is really good news if you're a Trinity fan. If you're on the Trinity bench as well, if you're the coaching staff, you know exactly what's going on here.
Close in the gap.
Because you've got under the skin of the Thomian set piece. You're not allowing them to win the ball by their 6'5", 6'6" lock forward. And here we are again. So St. Thomas's do have the ball. And again, beautiful defense from Moragoda, making an excellent tackle. Ovin Hettiarachi leaves it behind. It was lost forward, says the referee, although I thought Owen managed to place the ball. But
I think that infringement was in the earlier tackle. Another player down injured. You can expect a couple of injuries to creep up, especially those hamstrings and the growings, and also some cramps as well. This time seems like it's Durangwat Minudhu Jayasundara who's on the ground.
the referee spotted the knock-on in that play.
Doctor.
St. Thomas's looking to play that fast-paced offloading game, which I thought they were brilliant at the sevens, Sudarshana, but that's the last rugby they played. That's what we showed our viewers at the top of the broadcast, the sevens rugby that they were playing. So it's important now that the players who played in that tournament, the guys like Hettiarachi, the guys like Vian Pereira, the guys like Akira Pereira and Avinda Rakava, they need to come back to the 15s world. So they need to make sure they hold the ball and just get a little bit of go forward before throwing it around. They have excellent skills, but they need to know when they use it.
Yes, Shanak, I think they need to try and use their forwards a little more, especially given the fact that Trinity defense is rushing them, and when there is a rush defense who's rushing you, it's always going to be difficult to play that quick offloading game.
Well, some would argue that went a bit backwards, but unfortunately Minindra Jayasundara hurt himself, but hopefully not too badly in that fall. Looks like he's determined to carry on, but I hope the doctors take the best possible bit of action. And yes, he shakes his head, the doctor, in that Sri Lankan kind of bobble. Says, yeah, he's fine, I think.
Yes, Jayasundara some of these boys know that it's their last time donning the college colors in the middle, so they will not want to come out, but sanity needs to prevail, and best decision needs to be made, keeping player safety in mind, because you give them a chance, they will not want to come out.
Absolutely not. Can remember not coming out of games when I really should have, and I'm suffering for them now in my 40s. So I hope Sena Council prevails now that strength and conditioning and physiotherapy is much more advanced. Bust up the middle from Morogoda, and that pass was just a shade forward, although I think the referee, despite the frustrations of the Trinity supporters, has got this one right.
Yeah, maybe in the southern hemisphere that would be considered a flat pass, but not here in Sri Lanka. Closer to the equator, that's considered as the ball going forward. But a good bust up in the middle. Here's another look. Yes, maybe that was definitely travelling forward. Litmal Morogoda rushing to that ball.
You know how the water that goes down the sink turns in a different way above and below the equator, Sudarshana, so I think those passes are viewed as flat in the Super Rugby competition, and I don't think they should be, because I think they do a lot of damage. But referee Pereira,
well, we are currently in a struggle to save the game of rugby union from rugby league. New rules coming in slowly but surely, making rugby union very similar to rugby league.
Yes, it's something that keeps me up at night, Sudarshana.
More than 1.5
And
meters.
it's from the advent of the rugby league coaches into rugby union game in various facets like defense and tackling coaches and all that kind of thing. Especially under Clive Woodward early on into about 2005, that the game has started changing for what I think is the worst. I may be not, it may not be a popular opinion, or you and I may agree on it, maybe others don't. But I really would like to keep union and league. Again, no touch finder, and that was Owen Hettiarachchi who profits from, and it spilled Hettiarachchi in the very act of scoring. Coming back into the play was a Trinity defense who never gave up, and I think it was the captain who might have got an intervening hand in there. And it was Ravindu Wickramasinghe who pulled up in a cramp. You have to feel sorry for the lad and let the ball go.
It was Morogoda, seems like, yes. But Hettiarachchi, how did he miss this one?
Well, it was Tehan Karunanaike who came in with the try saver. A bit of George Gregan magic there from the Trinity skipper. Morogoda looks a little worse for wear. He's heavily strapped on that right hamstring.
Seems like he pulled that one up, Chanaka. That's not going to be good news for Trinity College, because Litmal Morogoda is one of their standout players. Shabit Rashid seems like he will replace him. I Love Trinity Concept Store, official merchandise provider for Trinity College First 15, being a coverage partner with us as well. They've got some brilliant Canterbury merchandise, Trinity Canterbury merchandise, and if some of you couldn't get your hands on the Behind the Shield 75-year celebratory book between Trinity College and Royal College, you can purchase that from the Concept Store as well.
So 2 injuries, 1 to each side. Morogoda coming off there. He's had a star-studded game. Actually, he's had everything, full house kind of game. He's had a yellow card. He's made some outstanding hits, and he's made a couple of good runs as well. But it's a shame that this is the way that his Canon shield ends.
Luckily for Morogoda, he got one more season left, so this year we'll see a lot more of Morogoda. And also, Shanaka, now talking about, you spoke about Morogoda, that he almost did everything. He almost coughed up an easy try as well.
So this is a game that he won't forget in a hurry. This needs to be a big scrum for St. Thomas's, but they're unable to budge as Tantrige bumps off Hettiarachchi, the man who almost put St. Thomas's back into the lead. Dodangwatta manages to scramble this ball back under enormous pressure. Really well collected by Jaden Koch, who is straddling the touchline. Avinda Rakava And it was a little ankle tap that time by Asiri Kodituaku that stopped Rakave in his tracks. The counter ruck is good from Trinity. And here it is to Samarak Kodi and then to Fernando. But he's coming back for the offside advantage.
I think the Thomians would be quite annoyed.
I think St. Thomas's may have knocked the ball on there through the younger of the Fernandos. I'd be very surprised if they weren't brothers, Dunal Fernando and Shanal Fernando. Very similar build and very similar mannerisms in the way they walk as well, and both tall lads. So I would hazard a guess that Shanal and Dunal are brothers. Here's a break. Nice hands. Samarak Kodi to Fernando. Beautiful jump that time by Dharmapala, really foiling what should be the money ball to Dunal Fernando at the front of the line out. But outstanding work from Trinity in defense so far.
Trinity taking time and securing that one.
Dodangwat again, enormous pressure. And again, Jaden Koch will collect it. But again, there's been a bit of a late hit, and I think Dodangwat milked that one for all it was worth and gets the penalty.
This one is going to be interesting because if the referee is going to penalize that one, he needs to pull out the card as well if he's going to be consistent. But if maybe he deems that the contact was accidental, which is why Thomians get away with only a penalty. But Dodangwat has been impeccable.
Yes, he's a smart player, isn't he? Reminds me a lot of the kind of player that Suranga Pushpakumara was when he came to Trinity, and was just such a dynamic player. He's one of these guys who can't be kept out of the game for long. He's a smart player. He's not a big guy, so he knows exactly what needs to be done. Here he is. And it was just a trailing foot. It was completely accidental, and Dodangwat pirouetted like Neymar might be proud of. Here's the ball, Sakit Pereira, and it's been taken out of his hands as well. Stolen once, stolen again, and it looks like it's going to be a try for Asiri Kodituaku, and the flanker scores. Sakit Pereira looked like he had pickpocketed that ball, but Asiri Kodituaku pickpocketed it right out of his hands, and the players on both teams were left watching exactly what happened there, and Kodituaku didn't hang around, just breezed in under the post for a try that he will remember for a long time.
Oh, brilliant stuff by Asiri Kodituaku, being a very good poacher there, as all good numbers need to be. Asiri Kodituaku, not a massively made man, but does very well. Now Dodangwat with an opportunity to extend the lead for Trinity. And we are closing in on the final couple of minutes of this half, Shanaka. And yes, that will be half time. To some of the viewers, the schools rugby games are played for 70 minutes, 35 minutes a half. And Dodangwat adds in the extras. 14 points to 3 is the score at half time, and Trinity College would be the happier ones. They did have some fluidity in their play, but they would have expected to score a little more points. But St. Thomas's coughed up some brilliant opportunities to get points, and they'll be quite disappointed with themselves.
Well, Trinity look excellent value for that lead, Sudarshan. 14 points to 3, and I think they deserve every one of those 11 points that they have in the bank. And Basnayaka is going to be proud of. He's going to be pretty proud of how these boys have played, and the defense for Trinity has absolutely been excellent. They have been reading the Thomian play as well, and Bulat Sinhala, a junior player, a fresher, has not been able to find touch on a few occasions, and that's something that they will need to address at halftime. Shamli Nawaz is going to have a talking to these boys, and his ex-CR and Sri Lanka teammate Asanka Rodrigo going to do the same. 14 points to 3 here at Havelock Park, and we'll bring you the highlights of the first half.
First points came through Bulat Singhala's boot, while Trinity was down to 14 men, and Then came this score by Trinity, overthrown, and Karunanaika collecting it. But credit to the forwards for building it up, and Dodangwat changing direction and going to the short side as Minithu Jayasundara touched down in the corner. It was a brilliant conversion by Dodangwat again from the right-hand corner. And here, Sakit Pereira almost had it covered, but Asri Kodituaku just before the half-time, poaching that ball and touching down right underneath the post to extend the lead to 14 points to 3 as both teams go into the shed.
Never seen a try like that, to be honest, in all the rugby that I've watched. Haven't seen something like that happen. But it's been an entertaining half, that's for sure. And St. Thomas's will need to come back and try and put some points on the board. We'll be back after the break.
Catch the excitement real time. Be up to date with it all. Let us capture your milestones. Get it sizzling hot off the turf. Hear the experts break it down. Dig deep into the nitty-gritties. Be inspired by their greatness. Relive all the scintillating action.
Dialogue View app. Watch Dialogue Television on the go on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. Here's an exclusive chance to win some exciting gifts courtesy of Dialogue View app. All you have to do is scan the QR code on the screen to download the app and register your Dialogue Television account to stand a chance to win. Dialogue Television, Sri Lanka's #1 television experience. As a precautionary action to ensure the health and safety of you and your loved ones, we encourage you to switch from printed bills to the Dialogue TV e-bill service today. To register for the Dialogue TV e-bill service, just add your Dialogue TV account number to the My Dialogue app and select the e-bill subscription option. Dialogue Television, Sri Lanka's #1 television experience.
This is Dialogue Television View Mini.
Wow! Live TV channels.
Huh?
What?
It's an endless movie time.
I can talk to my remote.
Yes, go, go, go! The screen just got bigger. Change the way you watch TV with Dialogue Television View Mini, powered by Android TV.
Meet the Pereiras. Just like any other family, they share everything. Kanti shares her amazing cooking. Minoli fills the family in with the latest gossip. But what happens when they sit together to watch their favorite TV shows at the same time? Well, it's not the same.
Now, no more fighting for one TV. Make every room in your home a TV room with Dialogue Television Multi-Room. Get your second Dialogue Television connection for as little as 500 rupees a month with a saving of up to 50%. Dialogue View app. Watch Dialogue Television on the go on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. Here's an exclusive chance to win some exciting gifts courtesy of Dialogue View app. All you have to do is scan the QR code on the screen to download the app and register your Dialogue Television account to stand a chance to win. Dialogue Television, Sri Lanka's #1 television experience.
A very good afternoon and welcome back as we wait for the second half of this highly entertaining Canon RS Deseram Shield Trophy between Trinity and St. Thomas's, being played and brought to you live from Havelock Park on the papare.com and Channel 1 on Dialogue TV. And it's Trinity College leading by 14 points to 3, well worth all the money that you may or may not have paid to watch this game. And Trinity very much worth their lead as well, as Dion Dias gives a final few instructions to the Thomian team, a Thomian team that has been decidedly second best in that first half, largely due to some outstanding defense. Sudarshana Peris.
Oh, absolutely, Shanak, and very warm welcome to all our viewers joining us for the second half. If you weren't joining us in the first half, where exactly were you? Because we were treated to some terrific schools rugby by these two teams. And something about the schools game, Shanak, it's faster than the club rugby game. Club rugby tends to be a little more physical, but come schools rugby, it's a little more fast, and they like to send the ball out wide, and that's the kind of rugby you and I prefer, despite being men who like to crash with the ball. But
well, I did everything I could to avoid contact, Sudarshana. But it is, the boys are fitter than club players. They have more energy, they have more desire, and I think coaches get more time with them as well. So the skill levels are probably a little higher, although the physicality is probably a little stronger at the club level. But I think St. Thomas's haven't turned up with some of their big players, guys like Owen Hettiarachchi on the screen, Dunan Fernando, who should have been really bossing the lineouts. But Trinity, Ravindra Wickramasinghe at number 15, and beautiful step by Vian Pereira to start off this half. Throws the pass, probably should have held on to the ball. Saw Owen Hettiarachchi inside him and went for it. But a lovely run from Vian Pereira, the nephew of Chandrashan Pereira. Sorry, I'm calling him Vian Pereira, he's Vian De Silva. My apologies.
yes, you spoke about Chandrashan Pereira, an absolute legend. The word legend is very loosely used, but Chandrashan was a legend in all sense.
I think it would be very accurately used for him, Sudarshana. Tehan Karunanayake getting the ball back to his big forward runners. He's always having a first pod of forwards hitting it up before Donangwatha gets the ball. Here it is to Ravindra Wickramasinghe, who has been outstanding in this game. Sudarshana, I really haven't seen a dominant performance from fullback from a schoolboy for a long time. And Donangwatha for the first time is really caught in possession. Karunanayake looks for the big man to bash it up. That's Kavish Amarasekara.
No hand, go on, Blue, no hand. Go on.
It's been a long period of play since the second half began, so there'll be some tired legs at the end of this passage.
Okay, no hand, Blue, no
Trinity
hand.
still have it available. Great continuity from them. Tehan Karunanayake. This raking kick, I'm not sure Trinity needed to put that ball to the boot. As Avinda Rakava gets away from one, gets away from two, can't get away from the third. And that's good work from the Trinity defense. Again, coming in and poaching. Rakava eluded three players but got himself isolated, and it was outstanding work. Here's a nice run from the Thomian fullback. Gets outside of both wingers, then gets caught. And it was good poaching from Tehan Karunanayake. Some may argue that he didn't come in through the gate. But not many gates in Trinity, lots of staircases. So I'm sure these boys are used to taking a few shortcuts.
Talking about shortcuts, plenty around college. Shanaka, Trinity borders Udavatta Calais from one end, so we do have the unwelcome visitors sometimes who likes to destroy the roofs of Trinity, part and parcel of being a college very close to the nature, I suppose.
Well, the monkeys were a staple feature for us at the M Block as well. I'm not talking just about the ones that used to wear blue and white. But Rakava seems to be a little worse for wear after that attention from Tehan Karunanayake. Made a good run, but the Thomian support play has not been nearly as good as it needs to be. And as you said off air, Sudarshana, it's probably a result of Trinity having played 2 warm-up matches in the lead up to this game, whereas St. Thomas's really haven't had much except for the Old Boys game that they played a couple of weeks back.
And of course, you can't expect the Old Boys to give the same opposition that you would expect from another school. Some of them are taking up the game after maybe a couple of years. I know you were involved with the school Old Boy game a couple of years ago, Shanaka. You tend to keep fit.
Rugby's done and dusted, I'm afraid. But Alawat Pegama will hope that after that little break, he'll be able to set this ball up for his team. Well taken by Kavin Vijayasena at the back. He's been doing a lot of work, and Oin Hettiarachchi with the steal. Does he have the pace to go all the way? Ravin Wickramasinghe is chasing him, but his long legs will get him over the line. And he scores the try that he should probably have scored in the first half. And the dog is the happiest man on the pitch.
Oh well, if Ovin Hettiarachchi did not score a try or this game would not have been completed. Shanaka wouldn't have been complete, but brilliant try by Hettiarachchi. Now the game is in the balance.
An outstanding try, was well read again. Karunanayake with a long pass out and taken it right out of the hands of his brother, the other Karunanayake. And Hettiarachchi with those long legs pumping and with his teeth gritted, he knew that he was as close, and it would have been a little embarrassing for him. And it's a little bit of poetic justice that he actually took it out of Karunanayake's hands, who was the one that knocked it out of his when denying him the try earlier on.
Perfect redemption by Hettiarachchi, now with an opportunity. Bulat Sinhala with an opportunity to reduce the deficit to 4 points. No problem there, so 10 points to 14. This is the start that the Thomians would have hoped for.
The thing about that try, Sudarshana, is that it was against a run of play. And that can have a real impact on the team that has to defend, because it can break your back, these intercept tries, and it can really lose the morale. It can get you really up. It's like a blinder of a catch that's taken in a cricket match. It's different from an ordinary regulation catch. Somehow intercept tries have this aura about them, and let's see whether St. Thomas's can ride on the back of that.
Absolutely, they can do wonders to change momentum, and if Thomians can try and cling on to this, they will be able to try and put in a charge and take control of this game.
You're having a good game as Asiri Koditoakku, the try scorer. There's a big bust up the middle, and nice poaching that time by Shenal Fernando, getting in on the act and insisting that the players calm down. And he'd do well to take a bit of his own advice as well.
Brilliant opportunity for the Thomians. Now they need to try and regroup. That's going to be very important, because we've seen time and time again when teams score a try, they tend to give away possession very easily come the next phase.
Watch this one again. Karunanayake gives it to Big Padangwala and Edema, and it was good body position by Shenal Fernando, and it was a good touch finder by Bulat Sinhala as well. He'll be much more relieved now that the wind is at his back, Sudarshana. So I think that's a factor that we have to take into consideration, that 14-3 lead was probably also a result of Trinity playing with the wind at their backs. And that's better from Dunal Fernando. That's what he's in the side for. Busting it up the middle, St. Thomas's through Vian De Silva. Outstanding run that was, pumping his legs. That one goes straight through the hands, but the referee says it went back. Janit Tilakaratne, lovely step by Sakit Pereira. Looks for the ball to recover. Well taken in the end. Still available for Sakit. Goes to the line on his own, the little man. And his forwards are trying to drag him over. He's trying to make it available, and Trinity will have to get out of there. And the number 21, that was Sharbit Rashid, did really well to get out, but not soon enough, as the dust flares up here at Havelock Park, and St. Thomas's can see the lead beckoning. Lashandra De Silva You've got to back him from this range, but Trinity's defense say, no, Thomian captain, not today. Sakit Pereira, who started it all off with a long ball out, and it looks like, oh dear, might have been a knock forward there as the referee comes back for the penalty for offside.
Well, interesting try there when the Trinidadians were sleeping, quickly taken by the Thomians. Really pumping, really making their case. Akira Pereira that time. Touching down for the Thomians, a sneaky try.
Well, it's not the kind of try that you're used to seeing St. Thomas's score, but it's nice to see that these boys have their wits about them. And Sakit Pereira, finally for St. Thomas's, you look at the big men, Ovin Hettiarachchi, Sakit Pereira, the senior man, and Dulan Fernando in the line-out. Suddenly they've got into the game, and suddenly St. Thomas's are looking a better side. So they've managed to be kept out of the game for the entire first half, but I think their quality is going to start to show now, and it's going to be a real cracker of a game for the next 20 minutes.
Bulat Singhal now with a chance. And that's a good kick through the middle. Now St. Thomas's take the lead, 17 points to 14, and this game is turning out to be an absolute cracker, Shanaka.
Yes, St. Thomas's went into the lead, and then the lead changed hands back again. Here's Sakit Pereira with a little bit of a dummy. Kodituakku missing a tackle uncharacteristically, and then that's a lovely ball to Rakava. And then as soon as a referee awards the penalty, takes it quickly. Was that Dunal Fernando actually who went over? Here's a kick by Bulat Singhal, first time that he's kicked out of hand. And that was Khalil who bounced the ball but managed to come away with it. Karuna Nayaka stepping outside was Samarasinghe. Here's Dodangwatta with a big kick, testing Rakava, who calls for it, and that's probably going to be. It's just a question of which color card it's going to be, isn't it, Sudarshana? It's really unfortunate.
I'm afraid for the worst, Shanaka, that time around. I'm really afraid for the worst for Trinity. I think they just might be reduced to 14 men for the rest of the game. Here's a replay. That's
well,
nasty.
I don't see the referee having any choice but to call for a red card. I hope Rakava's okay.
The only redemption the arriving Trinity player is going to have is the fact that Rakava did not milk it. He did not land on his shoulder or on his head. If it did, that would have definitely be the red coming out.
Well, he looks as guilty as he could. Shahbit Rashid is only just come on. Looks like that number 13 position is cursed today for Trinity. Shahbit.
Oh well, that's a yellow. Trinidadians will happily take that. I did see some of my batchmates in the background cheering that yellow card, Shanaka, because there could have easily been a red.
Yes, and that's the inconsistency that people do talk about. Because if that yellow card earlier on for Morogoda was a yellow for that late tackle, which was innocuous, and then this one is also a yellow card, where is the degree?
Yes, but the player was on air, and every time a player is on air, the arriving player is responsible of the safety of the player in air. Even if the arriving player was going for the ball, he could be penalized. So Trinity really dodging a bullet there, and the Thomians now with momentum on their side will look to try and capitalize on this.
And closing the gap, says the referee, or maybe jumping across, he says. As Sakit Pereira takes it quickly, they're looking to try and attack Trinity early. Here's Akira Pereira coming back into the field of play well. And Sakit Pereira with a nice ball across the face of the Trinity defense. Looked like there might have been a little bit of a juggle there, but the referee is happy to allow play to go on. Samara Kodi lays it back. Bulat Sinhala. Pereira looking for a 3-on-2, and here's Vian De Silva playing in that Frank Bunce-like manner, really bustling his way forward in the number 13 jersey. Samara Kodi lays it back, but to nobody in particular. And now Trinity have pounced on it. And now they've got some space. Dodangwatta puts it behind the wing three-quarter. Beautifully taken. And Khalil just can't hold on to the ball, although he probably would have been dragged out anyway.
Well, good cover defensive work by the Tomians as well. They had to put pressure on that ball. But again, Dodangwatta coming into play. He saw that the outside channel was free. He's doing very well to try and attack that outside channel, but Trinity trying to counter that quickly.
It was nicely done. He showed the ball on the outside and just saw a little bit of space for Khalil and put it on the money, just that the winger couldn't hold the ball. Beautifully weighted kick. Here's Shabit Rashid. It's Vijay Surya. Ashen Vijay Surya, who's wearing the number 21 jersey. A bit of confusion on the team sheet here. Ashen Vijay Surya will be thanking his lucky stars that card was not of a different color. Good scrum by Trinity. They really have been dominant in the scrum. Lasandro De Silva comes off the back. Probably should be looking to pick that up a little earlier. And there's some skullduggery in that ruck. Hands, says the referee, and St. Thomas's get out of jail.
We've got to feel for the Tomian skipper. He hasn't had his work easy throughout this game because he's been under pressure consistently in the scrum. Bulat Sinhala with the touch, gets about 10 meters right on the halfway mark.
Here's Rakava's run. So I think Lasandro De Silva should probably be picking up a little bit earlier when he knows the scrum is going back. Just there. Probably should pick up immediately. Quick channel one ball. And especially with that wheel, he's got a lot of space to go into the open side. So that's something he needs to be looking at. Nicely won by Dunal Fernando. Vian De Silva coming in off that unders angle. Looking for the wraparound pass there, but Trinity read that one well again. Been a really good defensive show from Asir Kodithoaku. Bulat Sinhala again with a nice long ball, and he's looking for a 50-22. Ravindu Wickramasinghe is forced to put that one into touch.
Well, Vinay Tiaraj equally claiming that was kicked out on the full, but the assistant referee will have none of it.
Navish Kayapa and Kavish Amarasekara, the two props on the loose head side on your screen there. Bulat Sinhala didn't really go for the 50-22, did he? He was kicking it into space, but he probably should have thought a little bit about the 50-22.
Trinity managing to win that ball.
Again, the line out not functioning for St. Thomas's, not functioning well at all. You can see how good they are when they win the ball, but allowing Trinity back into the game when they don't have the ball. And again, a bit of miscommunication Rakava spills it in a confusion with Vian De Silva. Good clean out from Trinity that time. And now they've advanced into the 22. They've got a big open side to use. Ball is out. And De Silva does well to pounce on it, but can't grab it back. Once again, they were chased out of the 22 and they go right back into Trinity. This is effective from Trinity at close quarters. They've got some big boys who can do some damage. Going in there was Janindra Tilakaratne. Lovely tackle by Navish Kayapa. Aggressive tackling. Tehan Karunanayaka. Here's Dodangwatte to Tevin Karunanayaka. And the referee says play on. That ball was available. There was no ruck formed. And Sakith will put this one into space, but not long enough. And the ball comes away, but two knock forwards. Even the referee is having a laugh here because it's such a comedy of errors. And Panangwala is a little frustrated.
Well, he surely will be frustrated because that was a genuine opportunity for Trinity. Pereira would have preferred that kick to go to touch. Vikram Singh at that time, I think the first mistake he's done the entire game, but word of encouragement and word of kudos to the referee so far. Shanaka Isuru Pereira has controlled this game well. He's done well to keep the continuity of the game going.
Yes, he has, and I think you have to give credit to the coaches and the referee. Both teams are looking to play positively. Sudarshana, and there hasn't been, I mean, there was that high tackle and there was that the undercut in the air, but none of those were with malice. They were clumsy bits of play, but it makes it easier for the referees to control when the players are looking to play positive rugby, and the coaches have coached them well in that regard. And I think it's never one person's job. It always has to be a communal effort to make sure that the viewers that we are bringing this to are getting the best possible product.
Well, absolutely spot on, Shanaka, because everything just contribute to what happens in the middle. And if the players are looking to play positive, open, fast rugby, it makes the life of the man in the middle with the whistle so easier.
So this is Shamli Nawaz's tactic of feeding the ball from the right side of the scrum, and it was really available on the blind side. Good hit on Bulat Singhal again, but there was acres of space on the blind which they ignored, and the ball to Jaden Koch looked like it might have been forward.
17 points to 4, plenty to play in this game, 52 minutes on the clock, and these young men have almost 20 minutes to try and change the fortunes of the game. Well, try scorer for St. Thomas's, Win Hitiarich has been a standout player.
They should have done better there. They had a 3-on-2 St. Thomas's. It's a game that number 13 channel how to straighten the ball and get your winger to run onto it fast. Something that Conrad Smith did all his life and doesn't get enough props for. It's not an easy skill. Karunanayaka will desperately want his backs to spark something here. Bulat Singhal tries to take the ball off Tehan Karunanayaka, but doesn't happen. Dodangwatte again with the short ball and loops around to the open side. And that was just a little bit of an error. Hands on the ground, says the referee. Lashandra doesn't like what he saw, but it's the referee's word.
Now Trinity inside the 22. This is going to be crucial. This line out is going to be crucial for Trinity. Remember, they are one man down. This is why the Thomians were penalized. Lashendra that time should have supported his body weight. He had one hand on the ground. Otherwise, he did have all the rights to poach that ball.
This is where Trinity's set piece has been excellent. They're throwing the ball away from where Donal Fernando is, and they're winning it easily. That's the first maul that they've set in motion in this whole game, and they're going towards the try line. They're going towards the posts as well. And unfortunately, the referee says there was an obstruction, and there were players in front of the ball, and you can see the frustration of those Trinity forwards, but they really needed to keep that a little tighter than they did.
Well, Trinity will be ruining that. The entire set of forwards thought that they had it under control, and they were going towards the post as well. Referee deeming that there was obstruction.
So you can see that again. We'll be able to see exactly where that happened. Been watching off screen, Sudarshan, and I'm not too happy about the way Tidas Tantrige, the Trinity number 8, is carrying on at the moment, raising his hands to the crowd and trying to make it look like as if he's not getting the rub of the green. This is where the players need to not take their cue from European football. It's beautifully set up, beautifully constructed maul as well, marching their way under the posts. We'll see where the ball is here. It's probably the hands of Alawat Tegama, and then you see the players running off in front, and it looked like it was Kavish Amarasekara. So both props called Kavisha. Beautiful tackle on Navish Kayapa, who took the ball at the front of that line out. Took a bit of punishment for the team. Stepping in was Ovin Hettiarachi. Hasn't really had much of the ball off phase play. And good counter-rucking there by Trinity, who may have won the ball back, but no, says the referee. Again, hands in the ruck is the call.
Well, the Thomians need to be a little careful on delaying the ruck ball, Shanaka, because a couple of times Trinity have managed to counter-ruck that ball, and also Trinity now need to make sure that they do their work right, because if there have been a couple of decisions that have gone against them, but if they try to play the game thinking that the referee is against you, you're not going to play your game. You're going to have malice on the referee. Here, Dharmapala. Well, he had the right to the ball, yes. But the referee was not in an ideal position to see that.
I think he's saying that it came back to Dharmapala off a hand, and that's. But it was an interesting clean out as well. I think the new rule suggests that you can't lift a player from his legs in a ruck also. So a lot going on. Rugby, probably one of the most difficult sports to referee. I think Trinity have done really well in this defensive line out. As I said, they do it again. And the assistant referee has his flag out. Let's see what he has to say. But Tahan Karunanayaka now to Dodangwatta, who uses his tactic now. Knocked back and knocked forward again. And it looks like there was a knock on and a high tackle, which on the number 9 seat here, this looks like it was a high tackle. Yes, Lashandro De Silva coming through and making a high tackle, and this is where Tidas Tantrige, who I was talking about earlier, is having a chat to the ref. He's not even the captain, Sudarshan, so he really needs to get in line.
Oh, absolutely. I won't be surprised if the referee opts to go to the card, because he has absolutely no right to speak to the referee. And like you mentioned, this is not European football, and this is not football. Something a very famous quote Nigel Owens once said, if you want to talk to me, you can use the next park and play football. Trinity now need to try and focus on what they need to do first. They
seem almost upset that they've conceded the lead, Sudarshan. They need to play the kind of rugby that they played so well in that first half. And instead of focusing on the referee and how unfair life is, they need to focus on doing the small things right, which they have been doing most of this game.
The assistant referee having a word. Seems like he's spotted an infringement. Trinity will be happy to take a couple of more meters in front as well, if that's possible.
Don't know what the content of this conversation is between assistant and main referee.
Number 30 number 30 number 30 Hey player. Oh, okay, okay. Hey player. Yellow card there. Betul lagi. Huh? Sure ne?
Seems like the referee has spotted an infringement against Trinity.
Line. Get back, puta, get back.
It's going to be interesting. They call number 31 over.
Alright, number 30. Sure ne? Number 30. Yellow card. Captain.
Loshika Vijayko, now he's calling the two captains, and it looks like there's going to be a card. Maybe the assistant referee spotted some foul play. Yes, Loshika Vijay Singh Senal goes to the bench. So let's see exactly what happens there.
The assistant referee has spotted a stamping, and again lucky to be getting the yellow color. Trinity has conceded 3 yellow cards now, so effectively they played 30 minutes of a 70-minute game with 14 men. Not ideal, Shanaka.
Not ideal at all. Lashandra De Silva comes to the bench, and oh dear.
Number 5.
He's been caught red-handed there.
And yep, he's lucky that's not a different colored card as well, Sudarshana. Lashandra De Silva is off. The Thomian captain. So he's had knee problems. He's recovering from an ACL tear. So let's see exactly what. And Lashandra De Silva also, I think, received a yellow card for that high tackle. So referee is being very strict on those. So both teams down to 14.
Yes, both the players will come back to the field almost at the same time.
So it looks like now they're struggling to find a front row replacement.
I think the referee doesn't realize that a Trinitian also is in the bench, is in the Nordic chair. Now a new man needs to come in, because for some of the viewers who are not very familiar with the rule, before you start a game, there needs to be 6 players who are nominated as front row players, and only they can play during a scrum as a front row player, because it's a specialist position to go into contact safely.
I think Bhavanta Dharmapala was insisting that he can play in the front row, but nothing doing. It's just not an area of the game that you can compromise on. So they've got to have only 7 men in the scrum, Dusan Thomases, at this age group rugby. Scrums need to be evenly matched. Nice little pass from Dodangwata, but again, it's just marginally forward. Very marginal, but it's still forward. And I think this one was a little bit more obvious than the last one, Sudarshana, but Dodangwata's support runners need to just hold back just half a step.
Absolutely. I think when he sees those runners coming up, charging up from the side of his eye, it's prompting him to offload a little earlier than he would have liked. That one, like you said, is we could spot it from the naked eye that it went front. Tomians quite happy to take it easy, but Trinity have managed to milk out a short arm free kick.
Yes, Panangwala, haven't seen him with the ball in the hand for the whole of this second half. Good defensive effort that time from St. Thomas's, but Dodangwat still has a good ball to feed to his centre, Karunanayaka, who has been doing yeoman service in midfield despite losing his starting centre partner Moragoda to injury and a yellow card. Here's the big man, Shehan Priyankara. He's just come onto the field. Dodangwat again, good continuity, and that's a nice ball away for Karunanayaka again, still going. Rakava hangs on for dear life, brings him down just short of the 22-meter line, and Trinity now finally in this second half playing the kind of rugby they ended the first half on. No advantage, says the referee, for that tackle. Panangwala suffering from what looks like a cramp, nothing more serious.
And those are going to creep up, given that they haven't had a lot of competitive rugby. 20 now with a brilliant opportunity, 9 minutes to go on our clock, and on referee's clock it will be about around 10 minutes, so that's going to be very, very important that Trinity try and pounces now. 17 points to 14 in favor of St. Thomas's, and with that first goal in the first half against run of play, Tomians held on to a lot of the momentum, so it's important that Trinity try and get a score in this second half. St. Thomas's need to do the little things right. They've held on to the ball well, and they've gotten their backs into the game. Interesting decision by Dodangwat to go on to the far side. Maybe he was a little more assured. Tomians doing 3 changes, Shanakar. Muhammad Ali, Mahit Pereira coming in.
Mahit Pereira in the number 21 jersey, and Muhammad Ali in the number 20 jersey coming in, and Sakit Pereira gives way to his brother in the number 9 jersey, and Vian De Silva also comes off.
Well, Mahit Pereira was judged the best player of the tournament in the Western Province Schools Dialogue Schools Rugby 7, so it will be very interesting how he comes into this game.
So that's a cardinal mistake off the penalty in the 22. They throw it awry. So giving the ball away to St. Thomas's. There's plenty of room again on this blind side, but there's no number 8 for either team. Lasan Resilva's in the naughty corner, and even if he wasn't, he couldn't be bound in this scrum because Trinity have only a 7-man scrum. And again, conceding a quick tap.
Well, we have a triple talisman in Mahit Pereira, who just came into the field. Cricket, football and rugby. He's played in the all-important Battle of the Blues as well. So quite rare in this day and age you get players who play in multiple sporting disciplines, and although that's quite rare in general schoolboy sport, we've seen a couple of them coming out from St. Thomas's.
Well, we're a small school, Sudarshana, and need to play more than our part sometimes, as St. Thomas's take this quickly. And even though they knock on, they will have a little bit of respite because Trinity didn't go back 10 meters. But I think you're talking also of Sachita Jatilaka, who's on the sidelines of St. Thomas's. Cricket, rugby and water polo were his 3 sports. And double international at junior level as well. Lovely to see him in the Sri Lanka cricket colours if he continues playing the way he can. Lashandra De Silva is back on the park now. So St. Thomas's will desperately need to win this line out. It's an area that Trinity have really troubled them.
De Silva straight away getting the opportunity to put the ball in, and that's not straight. That's not straight at all.
When it comes from all the pressure that Trinity have been putting on all game on Lashandra De Silva and on Donald Fernando, who, the tallest man on the pitch by a mile, should be winning these lineouts very easily. But Trinity have been so good in defending that money ball that they have now completely got under the skin of St. Thomas's, and if they end up winning this game, which they still can very easily, it's going to be down to how much ball they have deprived St. Thomas's of in this lineup.
Spot on, Shanak. And as for the Thomians, I think they will want to try and hold on to possession as much as they can in this next 5 minutes, the final 5 minutes of the game. I'm being prompted by our production crew that we need to try and decide on a player of the match, which we can't do yet. We'll wait for the next score, Shanak, if there is one, to decide on who the player of the match is.
Coming into the line was Khalil from the blindside wing, and Ovin Hettiarachchi holding up. It's a maul now. And that's excellent defense by Ovin Hettiarachchi. He held him up in the tackle, created a maul. And as soon as the Trinity players joined, it became a maul that Trinity couldn't get the ball out of. So it's been a few contenders, haven't there? Sudarshana from the Trinity side, Dodangwatta and Ravindu Wickramasinghe, I think, have been excellent in the backs, and Panangwala in the forwards. And from the Thomian team, I think Avinda Rakava and Sakit Pereira have been the standouts. And I think from the Trinity point of view, in terms of defense, Asiri Kodituak, who scored a try as well, has been immense.
Well, if I'm to pick one from the Trinity camp, I'll give it to the forwards. They've done brilliant work in the scrum and also in the line out this time. De Silva, the skipper, barging through.
Lashandra waiting for the last 5 minutes of the game to really show what he's capable of from the back of that scrum. Mahit Pereira now. Good ball out to Charya Kodukula Surya. Muhammad Ali just into the pitch, and Janidu Tilakaratne swivels and takes a couple of meters towards the gain line. Number 16, Akib Kader. No release, says the referee, and Tidas Tantrige is very lucky not to have been shown a yellow card.
I think he was asking for that yellow card for a long, long time, and rightly so. Tidas Tantrige, he did get the emotions get better of him a couple more times, and he's been shown the yellow. Very unfortunate for Trinity, because they've done a lot of good work, Shanaka, in the middle.
And
well,
yes,
seems like that's full time, despite 67 minutes on our clock. And Shanaka, I think we need to decide on who the player of the match was. And
it's a difficult one, isn't it? For me, it's between Avinda Rakava and Sakit Pereira, who really held things together. I thought Shanal Fernando was also really good from the Thomian forwards, but I thought the Thomian forwards were outplayed. Oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. Seeing a Trinity player, Asiri Kodituaku, going at the referee. This is terrible to see from Trinity College. An unfortunate end to what has been an excellent game of rugby. And parents getting involved as well. mothers also. It's unfortunate to see the reaction of the crowd. And I think Sakit Pereira will probably be the man of the match. It's unfortunate to see the behavior of the crowd, especially from people who are probably not aware of the nuances of the game, who imagine that their team should have won. Utterly shocking response from two teams. Here's the try from Ovin Hettiarachchi that blew the game wide open. Ovin Hettiarachchi touching down, blowing the game wide open. And that was an outstanding try, an individual try of brilliance. And here's Sakit Pereira stepping in, stepping out, and lovely ball to Rakava. And here's Akira Pereira. And that was Bulat Singhal also converting that try. And that brings us to an end, and unfortunately ill-tempered end to this Canon RS Disseram Shield. 2 tries, 2 conversions, and just one Yeshan Bulat Singhal a penalty that separated the two teams. Player of the match, Thomian vice-captain Sakit Pereira. Outstanding performances also from some of those Trinitians who just got the better of themselves. 3 yellow cards, one that probably should have been a different color, maybe 2 that should have been a different color, and playing without players for so many players for most of that game, unfortunately find themselves on the losing side, despite perhaps having the much better first half and maybe ending the game better as well, but let the game get away from them. It's a sad end, unfortunately, to what has been a very entertaining game of rugby. And we'll come back to you with on thepapare.com with a lot more as the COVID scare evaporates and we come back with schools rugby. Thanks very much for joining us from wherever you may be in the world. The Canon RS Disseram Shield coming back to St. Thomas's after a long lapse. And from Sudarshana Piris and myself from Channel 1 and thepapare.com, it's goodbye for now.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.